All right, looks like we're all squared away. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see all of you again, even if it's on the screen. My name's Ana Gonzalez. I'm the Vice Chair of the Equity Advisory Committee, and I welcome all of you. Thank you for your time on a Tuesday in the middle of the day. We appreciate your presence. And so at this time, we are going to begin with roll call, and we'll hand it over to Justin.
Thank you, Anna. I will call the roll. My name is Justin Hall. I'm the committee clerk here for you today. Carrie Kimi Hernandez, Lisa Marie Alvarado,
Present.
David Acevedo,
Present.
Mel Chavez Hernandez, Vice Chair Ana Gonzalez,
Present.
Gloria Huerta,
Present.
Naomi Iwasaki,
Present.
Peggy Martinez, Peggy, I see you're unmuted.
Oh, sorry. I guess I missed you calling my name. Sorry.
Oh,
Present.
great. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Peggy. Andres Ramirez, Michelle Rousey,
Present.
Florence Simon, Randy Torres Van Black,
Present.
Huilani Vasquez, Howard Wong,
Present.
Chair Martha Harmis Kelly, Vice Chair Gonzalez, we do have quorum.
Thank you so much, Justin. At this time, would you please provide the meeting logistics for all in attendance?
Will do. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the December 16th, 2025 Interagency Transportation Equity Advisory Committee meeting. This committee's focus will be on elevating diverse and historically marginalized voices, and will advise the California Transportation Commission, California State Transportation Agency, and California Department of Transportation on how to achieve meaningful outcomes in transportation equity, environmental justice, and equitable economic opportunities, especially as related to transportation planning and programming. The meeting agenda is located on the Commission's website at www.catc.ca.gov. Any document created for this committee can be translated into any language you need. Simply email us at transportationeac@dot.ca.gov, and we'll have them returned to you as quickly as possible. American Sign Language interpretation is being provided for this meeting. You should see them on your screen. Spanish interpretation is also being provided. You can access this service through the interpretation tab at the bottom of the screen. You can use the Q&A tab if you have questions about this. Live closed captioning is also available. Please select the Show Captions tab at the bottom of your screen. There are a number of language options available there to choose from. Speakers, for accessibility purposes, we ask that you please state your name before speaking. Committee members. All members attending remotely must visibly appear on camera unless you are unable to do so due to connectivity issues. If that is the case, please announce the technical reason for not appearing on camera. Presenters. If you're on the agenda to make a presentation, please do your best to be succinct. Please remember to speak at a steady pace to allow our interpreting services adequate time for accurate interpretation. Members of the public. We welcome comments from the public as a part of each item at this meeting. For those attending in person, you may use the Q&A tab to submit your question. Or for those attending remotely, you may use the Q&A tab to submit your question. Alternately, you may use the raise hand feature as soon as we reach the item to give the system time to acknowledge you. Committee staff will let you know when it's your turn to make your comment. As a reminder, each registered attendee is being provided a unique link and number to access the webinar, and these should not be shared with other participants. Please do your best to be concise. Speak at a steady pace to allow our interpreting services adequate time for accurate interpretation. Make sure that your comments add new information. If you agree with the comments of a previous speaker, simply make that statement. We ask that you make your point in 3 minutes or less. If for some reason we have many speakers on any single topic, we reserve the right to limit comments to 1 minute if needed. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Justin, for all the logistics. And if folks have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Now we're going to move on to tab 2, our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we now call California is the ancestral lands of over 109 nations, tribes, and peoples. The indigenous peoples of this area have a deep reciprocal relationship with the land and its original stewards. Their ways, methods, and traditions have contributed to California's rich biodiversity and have impacted the transportation network for the state. We stand with indigenous communities and are committed to partnering and advocating for a more equitable and sustainable future. Our transportation network not only connects us to families, friends, work, and leisure, it connects us to our past and our future. We embrace our past with a future commitment to inclusiveness and equity for everyone who calls the state home. I'd like to invite any committee members who wish to acknowledge the lands they are joining us from today. I want to first acknowledge my space. I am in the city of Rialto, which is Yuhaviatam and Tongva land. And if anybody else wants to share their area, please raise your hand. And we'll start with Member Rousey.
Yeah, Oakland, California. This is Michelle Rousey. I'm in the Lonely Land, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Wong.
City and County of San Francisco's official land acknowledgement recognizes the land as the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. It honors their role as the original stewards of the land, their enduring commitment to Mother Earth, and their sovereign rights as the first peoples. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, I see Member Torres Van Vleck.
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm taking this meeting remotely in San Diego, which is ancestral Kumeyaay land. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, there's our chair. Welcome, Chair. Miss Kelly. Go for it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I just want to recognize that I'm in Stanislaus County. I'm having a food distribution over here at Archway Commons. So I apologize for not being on right away. But this is the season, and many of our families that are, well, not in the best situation are finding themselves really reaching out for even outside organizations to help provide food. So that's what we're trying to do today at an apartment complex called Archway Commons in Modesto, California. And we're actually feeding people outside of the apartment complex today. So it's kind of exciting. But I want to acknowledge the Miwok and Yokuts territories here. And just recognizing the fact that we are in California that was all tribal, and many that are not recognized, the tribes that are not officially recognized, including the Southern Miwok. So thank you.
Chair, would you like to take it over and ask for public comment?
Well, surely. And at that point, I'd just like to say, is there any public comment? Do we have anyone else on?
Chair, I'm not seeing any request to comment at this time.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to our next tab. Justin?
Hey y'all, I'm Tatsuko with Caltrans. Just want to jump in. Our presenter is having some trouble getting connected, so we're just working to try to get him online. So one
No
moment,
problem.
please. Thank you
No
so much,
problem.
Chair.
So I just want to give everyone a background. First of all, thank you everyone for coming on that are on. Anna and I, in the discussions that we've had with staff, really felt it was really important to keep us abreast of what's happening in the legislature, and our staff, including some very important folks at Caltrans and CalSTA and the commission, also agreed that it would be important to keep us on page with things that may or may not affect our purview. So we're limited and we make our recommendations to the commission according to what we hear as far as legislative updates. But there are some legislative measures that are out there that have intersectionalities. And today we're going to be discussing, ones that that are affecting Caltrans and the commission and CalSTA directly. And we leave a floor open for you if there's something that you might find of interest that you want to share with us. If you've come prepared with any kind of information that may be pertinent, you're all welcome to support and include your information. And I'm hoping that in the future, you'll all adopt this portion of the meeting in our regular meeting so that you may be kept abreast of the things that may be of interest and also importance to your communities. So that's all I wanted to share, and we'll go ahead and see if we're ready. Are we ready?
I think we need to ask for a public comment not on the agenda at this time.
Yes. Any public comment or matters that are not included in the agenda?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not seeing any of our attendees making any request to comment at this time.
Okay, then we'll just move ahead into our presentation if we're prepared and ready to go, or do we need a few more minutes?
Hi, this is the American Sign Language interpreter. Has anyone heard from Tamika? Just because this meeting is almost 2 hours and I won't be able to interpret the full meeting by myself. Thank you.
Yes, I believe the second interpreter just now joined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I can hop in here. We are waiting for our presenter to log on. We're having a little bit of trouble. So if you all can give us a minute, if we can do some member updates, maybe if folks have things they want to share, just give us a minute on the back end while we get them logged on.
Surely, anyone that would like to participate, just raise your hand and we'll go ahead. And if you can help us, Justin, just keep order and make sure we don't lose anyone.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
The first member I saw with their hand raised was Pualani Vasquez.
Hi, Pulani.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Justin. So great to see you all virtually. I'm so sorry I joined late. I was having technical difficulties joining as well, so I understand the presenters' trouble logging in. But I did want to say very exciting, if anybody was here for the San Diego meeting, you remember our friends at the Department of Transportation talked about the Community Advisory Board. Well, they actually just sent out the email notification that they're starting to look for members for the Community Advisory Board. So I think that, much of what we do, we talk about the good work and, all the work that we put into the things that we do. This is where really, the rubber meets the road, and they're taking the things that we say seriously and incorporating them into transportation initiatives. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Yay, congratulations. That's a win. Anyone else?
Yes, we have Vice Chair Ana Gonzalez.
Hola, Ana.
Thank you for acknowledging me. So really quick, I just wanted to share a lot of, because I think it has to do with this meeting too. I know I keep bringing up AB 98, which is the warehouse guidelines kind of bill that, mandates that cities create their circulation elements according to the new land use that's, been progressing with the logistics industry. So long story short, today we had our county meeting where a lot of communities came together to talk about truck routes and what that looks like. And I want to say that I'm very happy to have seen a lot of community engagement. And one of the things that came out of those meetings were that, the timing of some of the meetings. And I know that was brought up at our last EAC meeting in Riverside, wanting folks wanting to be engaged more with this committee and also in the county committees. And there's a lot of conversations about time, and I know that's something that maybe the chair and I can look into working with the staff and along with all of the colleagues as well. But the timing of these meetings have been like a big, big concern. So I want to make sure that I highlight that. But also to say that I'm very happy that community was involved and that more voices are being lifted during the process of AB 98. So thank you all for your hard work on all of this.
Congratulations again. And folks, even in our discussions, we've had conversations about maybe possibly having an evening meeting. We remember having that discussion, and that'd be just something very innovative, but also well received because many folks can't be at some of our meetings. So that's a thought. Anyone else?
We have member Michelle Rousey.
Hello, Michelle.
Hey guys, I just got an email from Nice and Nygaard, and I don't know if you guys know what waves are, but waves are the kind of like it's an Uber but for wheelchairs. So there's an open bid applications that are going on in Alameda County, and I will pass that to Armis Kelly so that you guys can pass it to everybody. But I thought it would be an opportunity to bring up that there's very different access for waves in different parts of the state, and although some the big cities have them and they're ample, little counties and even some big counties like my county, Alameda County, there's just not the amount there that can meet the need. And so when you sign up, you might get one, but you might want to get one in 2 hours or more, or they'll just pop you off the app altogether because there's nothing available. And so it's not equitable for those who need it. And that's same day rides that most of you guys would be able to get through Uber. So just wanted to let you know there's an application, and I'll go ahead and send that out a little after the meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. I'd also want to add to that. My friend does the medical transport, and she has like about 4 different vehicles. But at this time, she's the only one that's driving. And the thing that impedes her from having a full-on business is that the insurance costs are very significantly different than you would have with an Uber per se. So she's doing private transport, and it works out well for her. But if she were to bid or do a contract with a hospital or institution, she'd have to have this specialized insurance. So it was an eye-opening experience for me to listen to her really just cry and vet out, like her story. And she's like, there are people that don't have rides that literally are waiting for someone to take them to an appointment, not like just regular appointments. We're talking about like, one person had his hand cut wide open and needs to have a specialized surgeon. And she's making trips to LA and back, from LA to the Central Valley. And this gentleman is paying upwards of $500 every time that they go. But that's what it's required, for her to be able to not only maintain and be able to survive, but had she had a better account, the amount would be lower and she would be able to bill through insurance. But because of the insurance situation for her own vehicle, yeah, it's hard because it's a small community, like you said, and people don't have that access to mobility. So yeah, it's something that I had no idea about, and she made sure she let me know. It's like, okay, I'll bring that up. So I'm just amazed that you brought that up. Thank you.
Yes, there's a lot of disparity between what we're able to provide for paratransit and then local city-based for people who have mobility needs around the state, and it differs from county to county and city to city. what's available, what's additionally available through grants and things like that. And it breaks my heart because I'm chair of my local paratransit with East Bay Paratransit. I'm the chair of their advisory board, and it just breaks my heart that because we're so attached to our fixed route with what our services are. So if they're not 2/3 of a quarter of a mile from fixed route, they can't pick up the paratransit. So that really leaves out our more rural areas, and even in our city, because of the cutback to fixed route, which is our regular buses, that has cut off services to so many people around the state and in my county. So it's a disparity that is not going to change anytime soon, but you guys need to be aware of it because it is there. And I don't want to take services away from other things, other transportation, but yet I want things to be equitable for everybody. And I want to make sure that those people who need to get to the doctor, who need to get to certain services, even to the grocery store, have that availability to get what they need when they need it. Thank you guys for hearing.
Yes. Thank you. Are there any other members or are we ready?
Not seeing any other members requesting to speak at this time.
Chair Armis Kelly, this is Allison Joe with CalSTA.
Hi, Allison. Miss
Hi.
Allison.
My apologies. So I've been checking in with Alejandro. He was stuck in a physical meeting and couldn't leave. So we are he's actually 5 minutes out. So if you guys are wrapping up, we are happy to sign on in a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Are there any other members online that would like to share something that's going on in their community? And it doesn't have to be related to legislation, just something that you'd like to share out. This is a great opportunity for you to even suggest or even mention something that you'd like to see for the next year. And I can't see, so.
Hi, Martha. This is Pua. I just have a quick question. You know, we've talked about having some of these meetings at night so that, or at later during the day so that community can attend. What is kind of the roadblocks or the challenges for us to I guess, do we put it up for a vote or what would be the next steps for that?
So usually when we have some kind of idea or decision, we have to go through staff first, you know, and then staff kicks it to the powers of be, which is the commission and our executive leaders. And then they are able to see if that's something that we can do. The thing that really kind of moves or is a driver is that we have to make sure that we are in compliance with you know, the announcement, is it in a timely way? Did it get voted on through the commission? Because they're the ones that actually have that deciding factor, but it's not something that I don't think is out of their, I'm sure it's been brought up before, but not in this capacity. So it's something new. But hopefully we can put that in the notes and embed that in the notes that as our discussion envelops, and that'll probably be at the end. We could have more discussion on that. But yeah, it's something that has been noted. We've had that discussion even amongst ourselves, right? And I'm hoping that it's something that maybe we can incorporate even if twice or once or twice during the year. But it is a matter of logistics and a matter of making so we're like one part of the moving cog. There's like a lot of other parts. And if it's not conducive for the other parts, it may not be something that we can do right away, but it's certainly something that could be brought up and like examined and, you know, considered. So I appreciate you saying that because that really allows me to not be so much the driver, but it's also coming from other channels. And I know that Andres was one that, you know, wanted to also include that in that conversation. So I appreciate all of you that speak up. I want to also communicate that because oftentimes even though Anna and I are glad to be vocal on certain things, it just makes it a lot more rich when other members also kind of speak on that, because that really is the force behind community engagement. We have to consider a lot of different ways, and thinking outside of the box is often something that we don't do, but it's not because we don't have the capability. It was just something that we haven't really considered. So thank you. Thank you for that. Anyone else?
Yeah, Michelle Rosie, on the same note, I think a lot of the reason we don't have meetings in the evening is because of staff availability and like you said, logistics. I don't know whether staff would have to be paid additionally to be after their normal hours and things like that. So it is something that I agree that we should look at to possibly have once a year, but we also need to remember that, we have staff that have regular hours that we need to respect and also look at, so that if we do it, that we're respecting not only them, but also the group for what we want. So just to kind of put that out. So thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. But again, going back to what we were talking about, thinking outside of the box, sometimes we have to do things that are not usual. I mean, even in the work that we do as community outreach, I don't like to work on my weekends, but it's part of the opportunity to be able to engage with folks, and understanding the hours of the, access for folks to be able to engage are usually in the evenings, or hours on weekends, right? And when they are in those evening hours, like we think about things like food, transportation, also childcare, which is something that it would be really exciting to see, like a convening, like a community convening through Caltrans, where we would really promote in our own areas maybe, and just make sure that there are a lot of people there present. And then I think that it would be a great opportunity for like the institution to be able to use that time with people that are going to be on to like have maybe breakout sessions and be able to get that information or that peak knowledge that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get through community engagement in their own sectors, because sometimes it's hard to get folks at the table. So we, just like we have to be considerate, we also have to kind of consider how do we navigate those spaces so that everybody can participate. So I really appreciate that, Michelle. Any other members? Are we ready? Oh, hello, Mr. Wong. Member
I had a
Wong.
comment.
Thank you. I think I lost you.
I think generally when it is true that our noon, starting at 4 or 5, that's kind of the compromise time. I think when people can leave work a little early or come at least for the latter part of a meeting. But having it in the evening is probably just as problematic for a lot of people as well as having meetings in the mornings. So anyway, that's all I had to say. Thanks.
No, thank you. Everything's appreciated. Thank you for speaking up. Any other members, or are we ready to have our presentation?
I'd like to acknowledge that Member Martinez did have their hand raised.
Thank you, because I cannot see. So thank you. Member Peggy Martinez, hello. Thank you.
Hi. Um,
Hi.
I felt that it would be good to chime in on the idea of meetings at different times of the day. I really love the idea of being able to offer that to people, even if we did it one time a year or twice a year. We know that not everyone is going to be able to attend meetings either in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, but just giving people the opportunity opens doors, and I am in favor of that. So that's all.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you again. And this is really where it's at, when we all come together and have an opinion and speak up. I want to hear all the other voices, and I appreciate those that do speak up. And if you're quiet, maybe you could just even email a comment at any of our meetings. If you feel like you didn't get a chance to speak or you have an afterthought, please send us an email. Send an email to staff and say, hey, on that meeting, I didn't get an opportunity to engage, but I really think that this should be something that could be added. Or if you're, I would love to see this on the agenda, send it to staff, please. That way we have some material to really work with, and it's more meaningful when it's part of your. So now at this time, we're going to go ahead and present Alex with our legislative updates. Thank you.
Yes, apologies for being tardy.
No, you're going to get hit with the wet noodle. Thank you so much for coming.
No worries. Happy to be here. First time presenting to this group. Happy to join. Just wanted to start off a little bit. So Alejandro Espinosa, Deputy Secretary for Legislation here at CalSTA. Maybe you may be familiar or not, but we are the overseeing agency that oversees several departments, including the DMV, Caltrans, CHP, High Speed Rail. We have the Board of Pilot Commissioners under us. We have the CTC. So there are a few big groups that are under our jurisdiction. Next slide, please, if someone's managing it. So wanted to start off first, but just kind of just describing kind of what my presentation today is, kind of what our role as a overseeing agency is, process throughout the year as far as how we engage in legislation, and then talk about a few bills that you all are particularly interested in. Next slide, please. So, as you all may know, the agency is overseen by the Secretary of Transportation, which is currently Tokes Omashawkin. Under his leadership, we have 4 priorities that we currently kind of look through everything through our lenses, is how we can improve safety, equity, climate action, and economic prosperity. Transportation touches everybody, irregardless of income. It keeps the economy moving, whether it's automobiles, public transportation, buses, trains, and so forth. But we'll also look at it through, other lenses, which include safety. For instance, want to make sure that it is safe. We always hear about tragic incidents happening on the road, and so part of our goals here at agency is how can we minimize instances where there are tragic accidents and keep people safe by also continuing to help folks move up and down the state. So next slide. So throughout the year, we engage on bills. We work with authors. We provide technical assistance. We rarely take an official position on bills, but what you can see here is kind of the calendar of the first half of the legislative year. And so typically when we come after the new year, it'll be the second year of a 2-year session, 2026. And so the legislature will reconvene on January 5th. January 10th is a legislative date where we are required to, or at least the administration is required to publish their budget. And so that comes out January 10. The first couple of months of the year, we see a lot of bills being introduced, which typically February 20th is the last day for bills to be introduced. And then right after that, we have a series of policy hearings where policy committees will hear bills. And then as they move forward towards appropriations. And we usually provide technical assistance as far as what our projected costs would be if we were to implement certain bills. It just depends. Not every bill touches us individually, but there are a certain amount of bills where we are tasked, whether it be writing a report or implementing some other portion of the bill. And so at times it does require resources. Next slide, please. And then this is kind of the second half of the legislative process, where once bills pass their House of Origin, whether Assembly bills start in the Assembly or Senate bills start in the Senate, once they pass appropriations, they will move over to the next House, and they kind of go through the same process again, where they are heard through policy committees, and then they are heard again through appropriations, depending on resources required to implement the bill. And so it'll go to the second House. Members will be able to weigh in, bills get amended. And again, we provide technical assistance if we can, as far as addressing any sort of issues for implementation, or if there's anything of concern. We usually weigh in, and then the bills, if they do get out of appropriations, then typically they'll go to the governor's desk, where the governor will have 30 days to act on pieces of legislation. Next slide, please. So AB 98, this is one where, if I heard correctly, something of interest to the group. AB 98 is more of a local ordinance. There isn't any big role, or there isn't any sort of requirement for Caltrans or any other state agency in overseeing this. It establishes and expands new regulations on warehouses, truck routes, and their logistic use to address energy efficiency, land use, truck routes, right-of-ways, and so forth. There is a report that I believe that CARB has been tasked in collecting data and establishing kind of an impact report as part of this legislation. Next slide. Next, we have budget trailer bill, which is AB 30. Our agency CalSTA was instrumental in helping establish the statewide VMT mitigation bank that we housing, while it is not like technically under our jurisdiction, we tend to play a role because we like to promote affordable housing, housing near transportation entities and so forth. And so we were instrumental in helping write some of this language, but we are not the implementing agency when it comes to the mitigation bank. I believe that those guidelines are being developed now. And so we should be able to get a sense here in the next several weeks or months what that looks like as far as implementation. Next slide. SB 131 also allows exemptions on CEQA for some community-centered and/or sustainable infrastructure projects. Again, this is another example of a bill where while we don't have overall jurisdiction, we were instrumental in just providing technical assistance and helping how housing infrastructure plays with transportation as well. So there's a nexus there, but overall, CalSTA is not necessarily the CEQA leader when it comes to the implementation of SB 131. Next slide, please. And then finally, SB 79, which looks at housing units near existing transit. Again, it's promoting new housing near transportation housing to make just the movement, help transport folks easier, make it more convenient, just help promote that opposed to getting in your car and driving down the highway, right? It's more of how can we build better communities, more efficient communities that promote not only affordable housing, but promote public transportation as well. So next slide. So with that, I will open it up to questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from our audience?
Chair, I'm not seeing any requests from our public attendees at this time.
Okay.
We do have Member Wong with their hand raised.
Okay, I'll start, I guess. Howard Wong, thank you for the update. It's very mysterious world of legislation that many of us have some tangential, knowledge of, but not the inner workings. So many pieces of legislation are worked on, obviously, for long periods of time, sometimes reoccurring year after year. And the general public generally probably doesn't always even know about their existence. So the primary debate seems to be those groups or special interests and advocacy groups, areas of special knowledge who follow these things and can weigh in. But is there a way that the legislature summarizes legislation so that it can be understood by and perhaps touch on some of the consequences that may not be very evident in such legislation. So is there any kind of a digest that is, in plain English?
So typically, policy committees publish an analysis of the bill, and they tend to try to summarize the complexities of the provisions of the bill in their analysis. And so I would say that's probably the best bet as far as trying to kind of, if you will, make it into plain English. It's not always the best, unfortunately, but they try to balance kind of they try to balance the pros and cons of the potential legislation and publish the perspective of both the proponents and the opponents. So I would say that that's probably your best bet as far as looking at something that describes the legislation and try to summarize it in a more kind of more readable, I guess, language.
I had a quick question. Will this logistics or the dates be available? This presentation, the slide deck.
Yes, we can share the slide deck with folks. No worries.
Thank you. I think that would be great for folks that would like to have those dates in mind. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone else?
Yes, we have Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for recognizing me. Thank you, Alejandro, for the in-depth presentation. We really appreciate it. I know this is something that I've been very passionate about to get a conversation going with the EAC. So I appreciate you being here. You mentioned about AB 98 not requiring Caltrans to have any role in the bill, but I think when we did the cleanup bill, the SB 415, I believe there was more clarification that Caltrans now have roles. They're not defined as municipalities, but they do some sort of scope in what's being said, and especially in the circulation elements. So one of the things that I wanted to emphasize to folks, and especially at the state level, some disconnect between collaboration that needs to happen at the local municipalities, because a lot of the roads, highways, and freeways are under Caltrans jurisdiction. So sometimes the circulation elements are being delayed because they haven't heard from Caltrans, or they're not hearing about the collaboration with the enforcement. And so in this case, with the cleanup bill of AB 98 SB 415, I believe there was a clarification that now the enforcement lands on the highway patrol instead of like the sheriffs or any other local law enforcement agency. So I guess I wouldn't say that Caltrans has no role in it, especially if the cities have over their highways, their freeways, and having a say solidify.
I think someone has their audio on. If they can mute themselves, so I think we can hear Ms. Anna.
Yeah. So sorry, Anna, I didn't catch the last piece of you were breaking up. Not sure if I have a bad internet connection, which is not surprising, but with regards to the bill, I mean it does depend whether it touches on state highway routes, which would be Caltrans jurisdiction. But with regards to overall implementation, there Caltrans is not tasked, right? It just depends on which routes we're talking about, and they will have a role as far as working with locals. If there is a particular issue or concern that you're hearing in a particular location, I'm happy to explore that, take that back to Caltrans, and see what we can do. Because it would kind of be the individual Caltrans district that would be working with the local folks to try to identify what those routes would be and what the best way to approach it would be, right? So happy to take that back if there are particular concerns that you're hearing.
Yeah, so I guess the concern that I want to emphasize to everyone on this call is how do we get better at collaborating with the local municipalities, because we're not seeing it at the district level, at the regional level. And so how can we like come out of this call today and have a commitment to, I don't know, conducting some type of roundtable with the districts and the state folks at Caltrans and say, hey, okay, this is what the bill means. This is what's, the implications of the bill. We need to create these solid routes so we can protect our communities. So how can we best collaborate with Caltrans and the local municipality so we don't delay the circulation elements? So I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. How can we come out of here with a solution to have that flexibility to collaborate more with our local folks, since they're not hearing us, they're not getting us, and it's a state mandate now. So I guess that's what I'm, a solution to that.
So I guess one question, and I'm happy to connect our Caltrans folks with whoever they need to connect down at the local level. Is it more of the fact that you're hearing that Caltrans is not being responsive, or is that the local folks don't know who to contact?
I think it's both. I think it's both.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm happy to connect folks. If you have a main contact that I can share with our Caltrans folks, I'm happy to make that connection and make sure that folks are talking to each other.
Anyone else? Questions?
Sure. This is Member Iwasaki. I was going to ask a really similar question to Vice Chair Gonzalez about coordination at the local level, especially with including AB 98, but a lot of the bills that we're seeing are really encouraging the coordination between transportation and land use and housing. And we fight hard enough to get public agencies to talk to community, to get them to talk to each other is like a whole other effort that I know a lot of folks are working on. So more just saying thank you to Vice Chair Gonzalez for also raising it, but I think I don't need to add on to my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
I don't see any other members with their hand raised at this time.
Okay, I'd like to say something. Alejandro, my also, I mean, to taking all of those comments and putting them together, that's just part of it, but also understanding that, even with you asking us like to tell you who and what, there shouldn't be a who and what. It should be like how can we make things a little more mainstream? I'm looking at like Senate Bill 210, which is related to the sniffers. And the discussion is like how many of the people, I attended an actual project where they had CHP, CalSTA, with the CHP, the Caltrans, CARB, and we were part of the community agencies there witnessing how the sniffers work, and the sniffers are these data collectors that have like an emissions reader, and they're parked locally alongside the freeway. Usually they have to be equipped with internet and electricity and, you know, some type of Wi-Fi location so that they can get a transmission. And it's a live, you know, capture of emissions as they come through a corridor. So if a truck goes through this venue and there's a sniffer, it'll capture the emissions that this truck is putting out in real time, enter the data, it'll spit it out and basically digest all the information, giving you a reading of if it's a contributor to greenhouse gas emissions on a higher level. And it'll contact immediately the CHP, which the CHP gets a call and it's like, they're waiting. They know that the vehicle is within this X amount of proximity. They identify the vehicle, pull the vehicle over. They're able to find them, give them a ticket that tells them they have to make reparations so that they can have this vehicle on the you know, road space. But typically what has happened is that they also end up finding it kind of goes hand in hand. If you're already breaking the law in one area, you might be breaking the law in other areas. So you kind of get an opportunity to be able to get some people that may not be doing the greatest at enforcement, an opportunity to get them. And also to be responsible and accountable for the things that they're doing, like drunk driving, maybe DOT infraction, things that, or uneven load, you know, these are all things that have shown. So my question is, knowing that it's going to be such an effective tool and it can relate back to the community, giving community a narrative, what was discovered, what was found, actual infractions, and it's a mitigation for giving us a better air quality and safer roads. Why are we hearing from different organizations and also the institutions themselves that there's not enough collaboration amongst each other to enforce or create more sniffer opportunities? This program is really instrumental in helping mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. And not only that, but also keeping our roads safe and reducing trucks that are not safe for the road to be out in the thoroughfares. And another example of like, someone has to take responsibility. And I get it when you say, well, it's not really within so-and-so's purview, but we have to work on how can we better regulate interdepartment, interagency, some of these bills so that they are more mainstream. And I think that's really the question here.
Got you. I understand that. It just, you know, from an agency perspective, it depends on kind of what our jurisdiction is, right? And so there are bills, for example, where it's more directed towards locals, whereas more directed towards a state entity. But I'm not very familiar with, did you say SB 210? I'm not very familiar with that bill, so I would have to go back and look at it, and I'm happy to look at it and come back and kind of speak with you on that. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, there needs to be better coordination among state entities, local entities, to make sure that laws and policies are being implemented correctly and appropriately.
Especially when they're intersectional like that. I mean, there's so many intersectionalities that each one works on, right? So even though maybe CARB is worried more about the air, we're also worried about the air and then the transportation context of the safety and the mobility, right? The routes, are they going the right way? Are they using our frontage roads more so than the highways because they don't want to get caught, right? If they're running dirty, they don't want to be on the thoroughfares. So these sniffers are usually alongside corridors, like on the frontage roads, in areas like there's truck stops. So then they're coming in and they're not really thinking about what they're putting out, right? And the sniffer captures it and it's a good way of mitigating it. And we saw it in action, and it'd be so much nicer, especially in areas like Inland Empire or where we're seeing more and more trucks coming through. There has to be better coordination so that we can get a better picture. Because right now we're only subject to what was given to us, and that information is critical. And I was told by one person that how is that related to transportation? And I said it's very critical because the community or the EAC, we're the window, so to speak, to the community. And if they don't have that opportunity to be able to get the information, then it's our role to make sure that that information is disseminated and captured correctly, first of all, and then brought to the level where the community is at, and they're able to make those decisions and understand the narrative and use that data to really create a storyline for what they have been saying all along. So this is a great opportunity for data to work for the community as well.
Understood. I
Thank you
don't
so
disagree
much.
with you.
No. All right, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and continue. Thank you so much, Alejandro.
No problem. Happy to be here. Like I said, I know it was a little bit late, but if there are any other questions or anything else that I can be in assistance with, please let me know or let Allison know, and I can look into it and have separate conversations. It doesn't have to be just in this setting, but I can be a resource to you all as you guys are looking into legislation throughout the year.
Yes, we appreciate you because I think it's really important to have that dialogue. We appreciate staff, Miss Allison, to being able to even bring you forward. I think that it opens an opportunity for us to understand also, I guess, the multi-layers behind everything that we think is not happening, but is really happening. And sometimes it gets lost in transition, whether the bill is dropped and never leaves the floor, or some verbiage or something didn't go quite right and it wasn't adopted, right? And so oftentimes in community, we're not able to be in all the spaces. So this opportunity for our community leaders here in our group to be able to have that opportunity to have those discussions is really rich. And it provides us with information that we would have to search for. And in this opportunity, we can come back with that information to our community and share it out. So I appreciate your part, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from you more often.
Great. Well, pleasure to be here and pleasure to meet everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any members that might want to say something to this part of the discussion?
Yeah, Ms. Rousey here. I'm wondering, I work a lot in healthcare too, and transportation and social services. And with some of the policy that's coming down that also goes into yours as CALSA and those venues around transportation and coordination and things like that, I'd really like to see the coordination between agencies more and some of the way how a lot of our services and other entities are all siloed, and we've really been pushing over the last few years for those services and agencies to really reach out and step outside themselves and really not only do their community engagement, but also see that we've all got to use this infrastructure, and to make it work for everybody, we've got to talk to each other. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the information today.
Thank you, Member Rousey. Yes, we are very grateful. We need these opportunities, and we need these opportunities to discuss these things. Even if we can't make a big inference, right? But we need to at least be able to call it out and maybe gently massage that notion so that we can take that into consideration as we're moving forward. And as we're being in these spaces of discussion, we can actually see how maybe things are not moving as quickly as we'd like them, but also understanding that there is sometimes just a need for reminding each other what is happening, how it's moving, and what are our roles, right? So thank you. Any public comment?
Chair, not seeing any request for public comment at this time. And Chair Kelly, to your earlier question, I just wanted to let members know that meeting materials, including today's presentation, can be found on the CDC website under the Equity Advisory Committee meetings page.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you again for reminding us. And at this time, could we have staff come on? I know that some of our staff members are on, and you might want to have some questions for us, even the EAC members, or have some points that you might want to share in regards to today's discussion.
Yeah, Chair Ms. Kelly, it's Naila Pope-Hardin here, Deputy Director at Caltrans. I just want to say, to earlier points of the discussion about evening meetings, really appreciate everyone's consideration of staff time. That is something we can look into and completely heard. And I think also related to this discussion around better coordination and talking, we will be working with Alejandro as well to make sure that we, as always, are trying to improve some of those communication channels and really appreciate your guys' feedback. I'll pass it to Tatsuko, who's formally closing out the meeting. I just wanted to give those remarks and really appreciate the opportunity to listen in on your meeting today.
And I appreciate you saying that, because sometimes we kind of like these meetings are kind of silo-y in the sense that we don't get the feedback from you right here, and you're on the call. So like it's like this is a great opportunity to be able to have those rich discussions and say, so how did you feel? Or even just a temperature check. So I really appreciate you stepping up, and even staff, direct staff that we work with day to day. This is a great opportunity to really kind of just ask members, how are they feeling about that? Where are they, where's this resonating? Does it resonate with staff? Like, does it even mean something that was already in their purview and maybe they didn't discuss because they didn't think it was relevant either, So this is times, I think, that when we have these open meetings and opportunities for discussion where we're always worried about baggage, we're all here together and the public is here with us. They get to hear what we actually talk about. And so I appreciate, and I open it up for anyone else that might have a comment. Thank you, Naila. Justin, I can't see, so.
Chair, I'm not seeing any members with their hand raised at this time.
All right, then we'll go ahead and pass it over.
Thank you, Chair. Are you ready for closing remarks?
Yes, Ms. Tatsuko.
Great. Thanks so much, Chair. I'm Tatsuko Gohalo, Policy Advisor on Equity Engagement for the Caltrans Director's Office of Equity and Tribal Affairs. A huge thank you to you all for joining our final committee business meeting of 2025. Appreciate all of the member updates that were shared today, both celebratory and reflective of more work to be done. And we have noted feedback on the discussion items covered today, including opportunities for making meetings more accessible to community, collaboration with transportation districts, and establishing better feedback loops. We look forward to ongoing discussions with each of you and reconvening our meetings in 2026. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Have a safe break. Thank you. Beautiful break.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe.
Blessings to all of you.
Bye.
Thank you.